Okay, so moving on with selling an item. The first thing we're going to need to do is obtain the item ID that we're selling. So we'll take this code here and just replace visit with sell, which gives us the ID. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to run a query which selects let's say the ID from player items table, where the item ID equals the ID that we're selling. And execute this query as usual. And we want to obtain the item count to make sure that we have at least we have this item in our database. Another thing we're going to need to add onto this where clause is where the user ID equals the session's user ID, to make sure we're getting it from the player's ID and not just anyone's ID. So if the item count is more than 0, we're going to do something else. We're just going to echo a message saying you didn't have any of this item to sell. So if we do have one of these items to sell, we're going to need to get the same data we got here, except we're only going to want to have the sell price, and we'll keep the item name as well, so we can echo saying that we have purchased one of these items. So selling an item will be similar to using an item in regards to removing the item from our database. So if we add in here, we want to grab the quantity as well. And we'll just bung it into item info. We'll collect the fetch the object of SQL into item info. So if we come back over to our inventory, and where we're using food, if we look down here, we can take this chunk of data and just add it in here. So if the item info of quantity equals 1, and we're deleting from the player items where the user ID equals session user ID and the item ID equals the ID. Else if the quantity is more than 1, we're only removing one from the quantity using the same parameters. Once that those queries, once we've removed the items from our players database, we are going to run another query which update the players table, and we're going to add X amount of gold onto the item from the item into our player database. And we're going to set gold to equal it's player gold to equal the player gold plus that row 2 and we're taking the sell price. I'm going to execute the query. And then we're going to update our user information. And then we're going to store into our message variable you purchase, no, you sold and then you sold, so it says you sold in the item name. And we'll come back down to here where we're displaying all of the information. Under this H2 tag, what we're going to do is we're just going to echo out paragraph tags with message inside of it. And we're going to add gold onto here. So we can see how much gold we've got. At the time. So we come over to our play page and remove any errors. 43 should be concatenate rather than that. So if we sell grapes, we don't have any grapes to sell. We sell berries, we don't have any berries to sell. What about apples? We don't have any apples to sell either. I thought we did. Come over here. We do have some items to sell. Okay, bear with me. Okay, the problem was I was when getting the item count, I was asking for a row instead of number of rows. So that S is imperative here. And now we're faced with another problem. Surprise, surprise. That stock, where the ID equals stock, should really be where ID equals ID, because we're using the cell number. We're getting the ID from the cell number. So this should all be good to go. we have berries, so we can sell a berry. And we can save the page as well. $39. And that other error was coming from here where I'd missed a D out. So we're selling berries and we're getting nothing. Hold on. Multitude of problems with that one. Firstly, I'd never set a where clause, so where the user ID equals the session user ID, and I never actually made the query itself so yeah, we're querying that query there. So let's hope it works this time. Berry, selling a berry. I've sold all my berries, apparently. Okay, so we will alter how many berries we've got. Not berries. It's being a pain in the backside now. Right, so we now have 111 apples. We sold an apple, and we've now got 4 gold. And we can continue to sell apples and really rack up the amount of gold we've got. And each time our quantity of apples is going down. So that's selling an item sorted. Now for buying an item, under the sell, selling an item, we can change this to buy and buy. And we want to do this, we want to get that ID again from the buy variable. So the first thing we need to do is we need to collect all of our information on the item that we're selling, that we're buying even, which we can just copy that information there. And now we want to make a comparison of our gold to what we're buying, the price of what we're buying. So if row 2 equals of the buy price, and we also want to change that to buy price there, is more than a user player gold, then we want to buy the item, else we're just going to echo out this message saying you do not have enough gold to buy this item. So if we do have enough gold, it is going to be 2 simple queries. First thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove the amount of gold from our player. So we got player gold equals the player gold minus row 2 buy price, and update that.